there's so much tragedy in the world that we cannot avoid. There's so many things that are going to ruin our mood that we can't avoid. A bad day at work, a fight with our significant other. But there's a lot of negative things we can remove. There's a lot of negative things we can avoid. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin and I run the blog called Mrs. Midwest. I write about women's heart and mind issues as well as things related to femininity, character growth, and most of all, how we can live as more successful, stable, energetic, and happy women in these modern times. I am a Mrs., that's where the Mrs. comes from, and the Midwest comes from the fact that I live in the Midwestern United States in Michigan with my husband and dog. I am so happy that you guys are here. I am continually floored by how many new subscribers we get every day. It's shocking, honestly. But at the same time, I feel like I shouldn't be shocked because we are gathering around these ideas of femininity and success as women. And I feel like those are things that can unite any woman, no matter what country you're from. I would encourage you, if you are enjoying my content, to continue liking it, subscribing, sharing it with people you know who might like it, and follow me on all my social channels so you can see more of what I do on a day-to-day basis. So as you know, I like to make these little videos about real talk, ways that we as women can improve our character, often our mental state of mind, and our perspective on life so we can be more stable, energetic, and happy in our day-to-day lives. So today's topic is very near and dear to my heart, and it is something that I practice on a day-to-day basis, and it is the idea of guarding your mind. As I'm sure most of you are aware, I am a practicing Christian. I try to live life biblically. And because of that, a lot of my ideas, perspectives on life, and behaviors are greatly impacted by the Bible, by the Lord's wisdom. And so even if you're not a believer, I would still encourage you to consider some of these ideas because I think that they can be beneficial for anybody, regardless of what you believe or what religion you practice. So with that in mind, I have created this practice in my own life based on the idea from scripture to focus on whatever is lovely and whatever is noble, whatever is good and righteous. So the idea of guarding your mind, it's about what we consume as people. And in our modern day and age, there is no argument. We are consuming more content than ever. And because of that, I feel like it can be easy to be a little bit lax about the type of content we consume. Images are powerful. It's not just the words we read or the videos we watch that affect and essentially educate us. Even the images we look at on Instagram can have a major impact on our sense of self, our identity, and the things we value in the world. So the things we consume have an effect on us. It might not seem like it, but it does. We cannot control other people and the type of content they put out, but we can control ourselves. We can monitor the types of images we consume, and we can pick and choose things that are life-giving, that are educating us in a healthy and positive way. And again, this is not about being in a bubble. It's not about removing yourself from everything negative and shutting out the noise of the world. No, but it is being aware of the fact that every time you open up your phone and begin scrolling, you're consuming ideas, you're consuming feelings, and those things have an effect on you. It's what you surround yourself with, and you don't have to be in a bubble, but you also don't have to just consume without regard. You know, I always talk about balance. So some people like to shut out everything. They want to be in a bubble. They just want to pretend life is wonderful and everyone's happy. You know, I don't really subscribe to that idea. I don't think that's healthy. But I also don't think it's healthy to consume without regard, to consume whatever comes our way, to consume whatever we want, and to not think about how it affects us. I think there's a balanced approach that we can separate those two things so we can not live in a bubble, but we can also have some sort of management over what we consume and be mindful of those things. It's important to remember that we only have so much energy to go around. I think there is a limit for people in how much you can consume on a day-to-day basis while still having energy left over for your responsibilities or yourself or your relationships. And so it's important to remember that as you engage in social media, as you engage even in a Netflix show, you're putting energy into those things. I feel like we mistake entertainment for rest. You're still kind of passively engaging with ideas, images, thoughts, feelings, and they're coursing through you whether you realize it or not. Whereas rest is truly about unplugging yourself and maybe applying yourself in more of a physical way in the moment, whether that's through exercise, a nap, cooking, baking, a hobby, something away from information, screens, things like that. Something that's about you getting in touch with yourself, creating things, etc. Everything you consume informs you. It's educating you and it's shaping your mind to value things. Social media is educating you. Your streaming services, the shows you watch, it's all informing you and impacting your mind. It's impacting the way you see the world. It's impacting your life and oftentimes even your mood and your happiness. And so it's important that we guard our mind so we are in charge of what type of content is coming in and informing us and informing our identities. It's important to be very careful about the things we include in our day-to-day entertainment and media. It's important that we choose things that will propel us forward to energy, success, confidence, vitality, and beauty. These things that we're doing, they are not consequence free. Everything we choose to consume has an impact on us. So if we're actively choosing social media, Netflix, these images and entertainment over life-giving activities, we're going to notice our energy begin to wane. So when you look at your day, I encourage you to take stock of how much content you're consuming and how cluttered you feel. Do you feel like you have time to invest in some hobbies? Do you feel like you have time enough for your spouse or your boyfriend? Do you feel like you have enough time to plug in with a volunteer opportunity or to beautify your skin or to do devotions? If you're feeling like you don't have enough time, I would highly encourage you to cut down on streaming services and social media and focus on life-giving things. Second of all, the type of content we're consuming, it can often be very negative, but we might not be realizing it. So the way I like to measure this for myself is, how do I feel after consuming this type of content? And what I'm talking about is different than like the news or education or being aware of the darkness in the world. We all have to be aware of those things. We all have to consume that type of content. We need to be aware. But the type of content we don't necessarily have to consume is this negative cultural content. So for me, that does fall into the realm of super, super hot Instagram model accounts. I don't look at those kind of things because they always leave me feeling really crappy about myself, okay? I can't help it. No matter how confident I feel, seeing an Emily Ratajkowski is always going to make me feel kind of yucky on the inside. And so that's how I measure content that maybe I shouldn't be watching. There's also a lot of shows on Netflix even that I realized I'm feeling really disgusting after watching this. So I would encourage you to continue guarding your mind against negative, bad things that aren't life-giving, that aren't edifying, that have no purpose in this world other than to be disgusting or make you feel bad about yourself or make you want things that you can't have. I don't follow a lot of travel Instagram bloggers because they just make me feel like, why am I not in Hawaii this week? It's just not very life-giving to me, and it serves no purpose. For some people, maybe looking at those Hawaii pictures could serve a purpose. But for me, I cannot find a purpose at this point in my life. So that's how I measure content. What is the vibe this thing is leaving me with? What's the purpose of this content? And how is this affecting me? So in general, just focus on how is this content affecting me? And again, don't blame the girl in Hawaii for the fact that you are jealous of her, but maybe don't look at her stuff every day if it's gonna ruin your mood, you know? And that's the thing. If you can handle looking at Hawaii pictures and it makes you happy, all the power to you, you know? But if it's making you feel crappy about yourself, step back and guard your mind. You know, we're not all the same. We're not copies of each other. What's gonna bother me and make me feel crappy might be different than you. You know, I'm sure there's some things that would bother everybody, but for the most part, we're very unique and different in that area. So on top of decluttering your day, decluttering your mind, focus on being aware of what content is making you feel crappy about yourself, what content is hurting you, what content is giving you a negative mood, you know, because that's things that we can remove from our life. You know, we can't not hear about a mass shooting or a terrible hurricane or destruction in the world. We can't avoid hearing about interfamily divorce or health scares or tragedy. You know, there's so much tragedy in the world that we cannot avoid. There's so many things that are going to ruin our mood that we can't avoid. A bad day at work, a fight with our significant other. But there's a lot of negative things we can remove. There's a lot of negative things we can avoid. And for me, those fall into the realm of those social media accounts that make me feel crappy, or streaming services and shows that make me feel disgusting on the inside, you know? So be aware of what you can remove from your life. You don't have to look at photos of Kylie Jenner if it makes you feel crappy. No hate on her, like, good for her, she's successful, but looking at that doesn't make me feel great, so I'm going to avoid it, and that's okay. That's just me guarding my mind. Third point in this little real talk is to search for content that is life-giving to you. So for me, this falls into content that educates me, content that is truly entertaining in a positive way, and content that blesses me or is life-giving or positive. So for those types of things that I can choose and the types of things I have control over in my life, I always choose things that are positive and life-giving to me. Things that will bless my life, things that are noble, edifying, things that spur me forward to be a better woman. And so I would encourage you, as you begin to remove some of that bad content that makes you feel crappy, replace it with life-giving content. Replace it with life-giving music and shows and comedy and fun, positive, happy things. Like I said, there is so much tragedy and pain in this world that we will not be able to avoid. We are all going to encounter painful, hard things in life. But the thing we do have control over is the type of media and content we consume. So continue to guard your mind and treat yourself like a very special castle or a city where you're not just going to let anything into that special place. You're going to have to make sure that it's good for you and it's going to have a positive impact on you. Social media is not actually a bad thing. It's the type of content we consume and how it affects us. Everything we consume informs us of our identity, our place in this world, what matters, what other people like. And when we consume too much of that and not enough of positive, life-giving messages, we can begin to feel bogged down. So today, I just encourage you, do a sweep so that you can be aware of the content you're consuming and how it affects you, and also the amount you're consuming. Maybe you're just consuming too much and you don't have enough time for yourself or your loved ones. So focus on making time for the things in life that are very important, and don't hide behind social media content as a hobby. It's not a hobby. It's a wonderful tool, but it's not a hobby. Second of all, pay attention to how the content affects you and what you're getting out of it on a day-to-day basis. And finally, reach for life-giving content that can educate you, inspire you, motivate you, and bless you. Be very smart and strategic in this area of your life so you can pick and choose content that will spur you forward into your growth and into your character growth and into being a better person. So this is what I do on a day-to-day basis. I choose to protect my mind, and because of that, I notice that I feel more confident in myself, I feel happier, I feel more wholesome, and I do have more time for my husband, for cleaning, for beautifying myself, for making these videos and doing my devotions and doing things that I love. So make sure that you're making time for yourself. Be aware of how content affects you. And finally, reach for and search for life-giving content that motivates, energizes, and blesses you. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I know that these videos aren't quite about femininity, but I think that they're still so important because they're intended to help us grow into happier and more wholesome women. So I hope that you enjoyed today. I encourage you to subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Please also follow me on social media. I always post on my Instagram story what I do on a day-to-day basis. If you are hungry for more of this content, please check out my written blog. All of these links are in the caption below, but my written blog is really the place where I express a lot of my feelings and thoughts about femininity, character growth, homemaking tips, and more. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a blessed and wonderfully feminine day.